So, Roland, we will start with 3 questions in Brussels. Who is the first? No questions in Brussels? Yes, please. Could you identify yourself?
There was criticism came out from the UN, from UNESCO yesterday on the strike against the Libyan state television, saying that this is not a target, not within the mandate, etc. What is your reaction to that criticism? And a second question, if I may. My country, Denmark, is having a parliamentary debate on Thursday about prolonging the Danish mandate for participating in the mission. And there's already quite a lot of discussion between politicians in Denmark about the feeling that other allied countries should contribute more to the mission. This is becoming very expensive and difficult for a small country like Denmark, for instance. Will there be any discussions about that possibility? Thank you.
Yes, Roland, I think I'm going to take these 2 questions. On the first one, related to UNESCO, what I can tell you is that, well, NATO is aware of the provisions of the UN Security Council Resolution 7038, as well as of the Geneva Convention, and NATO has not deliberately targeted journalists. NATO targeted equipment that had been used to incite attacks against civilians. The strikes, I can say, hit only 3 satellite dishes, and we are unaware of any evidence of casualties associated with the strike on those facilities. So that to say that NATO actions did not contravene the UN Security Council Resolution 1738 and the protocols of the Geneva Convention. These strikes were also fully consistent with the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1973, which, as you know, authorizes all necessary measures to protect Libyan civilians from attack or threat of attack. So these dishes were being used to call for attacks, and this is why that strike took place. On the internal discussion in the Danish Parliament, well, as you know, it's for every nation to decide what kind of contribution they will provide to any NATO mission. In this case, of course, we most welcome the Danish contribution so far, and it's for every nation to decide. But of course, you know that the NATO Secretary General and our commanders keep asking nations to do as much as possible, and a commander is never satisfied with the resources it has. So, of course, we will continue calling everybody to stay the course, but what I can also tell you is that we have the necessary resources to continue fulfilling the mandate that has given to us by the UN Security Council. I think Gérard has a follow-up question.
Oui, Gérard Gaudin, en français si possible. La France retire cette semaine-ci, je pense, son porte-avions, le Charles de Gaulle, des opérations. Quelle est l'influence que cela va avoir sur le déroulement de Unified Protector?
France is bringing back the Charles de Gaulle, but what has to be stressed is that France will continue to maintain the same operational capability from ground-based aircraft. So basically, the commitment of France remains, and for us, it means continuity and continuity of excellence, actually, considering the considerable contribution that France is bringing to this important operation.
Please, Thierry. Oh, Brooks.
Yes, Brooks Signer, Jane's Defense. Question for Naples. Were precision-guided bombs used on the frigate, the Libyan frigate that was attacked, or were these more large blast bombs that were used, and what condition did that leave the frigate in? The photos didn't show that. Thank you.
Precision guided. The state of the frigate, not good. As of this morning, photos showed that it was quite damaged, and I would conclude here that it is very unlikely to present any threat in the future to the civilian population or NATO forces.
Before giving the floor to NPR, are there any questions from journalists in Naples? Please, Roland.
None from Naples.
Okay, so NPR, please.
Hello, Teri Schultz with NPR and Global Post. When you said that you weren't aware of any civilian casualties in the attacks on Zlitan, are you saying that you're not aware that there were any? You've probably seen reports saying that there were 85 people killed and showing pictures on Libyan TV of children and women having been killed. So you're just saying you're not aware that there were any, or you're not aware that the claims of the numbers and the fact that there were children killed are true? Thanks.
First, I would say, like, this was a military facility, clearly, with two huge agricultural buildings that were occupied by Qaddafi forces, and with military tents and temporary accommodation beside it. So basically, we had very clear intelligence demonstrating that this was clearly a military target. So there's no expectations of any civilian casualties. I am aware, although, that the regime organized a press visit this morning to Zlitan, and I think they toured an hospital where there were several patients and individuals who were either ill or dead. And we do take seriously these allegations, although they are very frequent and frequently organized in a timely fashion to coincide with this news conference. I must say that what we say is based on facts. And after every strike, we conduct a battle damage assessment, and this allows us to basically see the consequence of our action. So at this stage, I don't have received this assessment, so I will not speculate on the outcome, although I could tell you that the target was indeed military, based on solid intelligence, and that there's no evidence so far that has reached us suggesting that there could be any civilian casualties.
Next question. No more questions. It seems that there are no more. Maybe one more. Yes.
A question on the advance of these troops, the opposition, the rebel forces southwest of Tripoli. Can you tell us where they are now? How far from Tripoli? How far from the coastline?
I could not be precise, but basically we know that the rebel forces are now quite clearly out of the Nafusa mountains and moving around along the flat area leading to the coast. So without giving precise tactical details, they are quite close actually, and this is a considerable advance that they have made over the last few days.
Follow up from NPR.
You restated that one of the goals of the operation is to reduce the regime's will to fight, and you also said that you have seen movements of heavy artillery and significant numbers of heavy artillery. We've been at this for quite a while now. Do you think that, are you surprised at how much equipment the regime still has, and do you see any evidence that you're reducing its will to fight? Thanks.
What I was making reference to was the Brega front, because that front has been there for a long time, and basically the rebel has over time acquired much experience and ability to face the Qaddafi forces, which were basically initially in a strong position, having a kind of Soviet-type formation and defensive postures. So this is essentially the area where we could compare the situation as kind of traditional or conventional warfare, actually. As for giving estimates about the degradation or erosion of Qaddafi's power, as I said earlier, it would be very speculative to come with a number in terms of percentage. What we do observe, however, is the inability of the regime to push some advances, as we have seen in the Nafusa mountains, and also the inability of the regime to conduct massive attacks and movement, which is basically, let's say, symptomatic of some lack of capabilities. So I will stop here at this point, and I'm quite aware that the situation has been fluid and dynamic over the last few weeks, and it could continue to change. So let's not jump to conclusion, but let's observe that the Khalifi forces essentially had to retreat on a couple of fronts this week.
Brooks.
Yes, Brooks Signer, Janes again. You mentioned, Carmen, that the NAC is going to discuss tomorrow with the operational partners on Libya. What's on the agenda, and also is NATO looking for some of the non-NATO, the few non-NATO countries involved in this to step up their commitment, given that some of the other allies have pulled out or are considering to reduce their forces?
As I was saying, the meeting tomorrow is part of the regular discussions that NATO allies have with our operational partners participating in the NATO-led operation in Libya. So basically what the ambassadors usually get is an operational update on how the situation is on the ground, and then there is a discussion of the state of play, basically. As you know, we have the support of countries of the regions, and we also have a certain number of countries, partner countries, that are participating in the mission. So we are not looking for it's for other countries to decide whether or not they want to join this mission. We are not looking for, it's for nations to decide, for partner nations to decide whether or not they want to join us.
But how are you going to make up the balance? If some countries are pulling down, you still need to maintain your strike capabilities.
Well, this is why we continue calling all nations to do as much as they can. And we are confident that we will be able to sustain this operation as we have done until now. There is no doubt that will happen. Any follow-up questions or any questions for Roland from here, from Brussels? I would like to double check with you, Roland. Do you have any questions down there in Naples?
Not from Naples, no.
No? Well, AP has another question.
Just a quick
please.
follow-up on the frigate. Do you have the name of the frigate?
No, I don't. Sorry about that.
I think we can provide that to you after this press conference, Slavo, so no problem.
Just a second, was it a Kony type? It was a Kony type, so at least it gives you the class of frigate. K-O-N-I.
So you have the name, you have everything you need, that's fine. Okay, so if there are no more questions in Naples or in Brussels, I thank you very much for coming or listening to us. Thank you very much.